Welcome back everyone to a video, and today we are talking about the Texans offense headed into the 2024 NFL season. And I've done a few videos on the Texans now. First off, I was predicting probably I think just like what the offense would look like with Stephon Diggs back when that trade happened. And then I made a whole video going over the entire AFC South. But I wanted to do this video specifically just to talk about the Texans offense, kind of like individually, I guess. Now, obviously, last year, Stroud had one of the best rookie quarterback seasons ever. He looked fundamentally like a top, 10 quarterback in the NFL as a rookie. People would probably argue top 5. In my opinion, I think he will probably solidify himself very close to the top 5 after this season. And I think a lot of that is going to be a part of another year under his belt, still being in a very good system, and also this revamped Texans offense, which in my opinion is on paper even better than last year when it was already pretty good then too. Also, forgot to mention though, last year Stroud 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. This year I would fully expect that to be over 30 touchdowns. So this Texans offense now in 2024, they had Stroud, they have Joe Mixon now at running back, who they got in free agency. Devin Singletary left in free agency in time of the Giants. They got Joe Mixon from the Bengals, and they still have Dameon Pierce there at backup. Stephon Diggs they bring in from Buffalo in that trade, and then they have Nico Collins and Tank Dell, and still Robert Woods and Noah Brown and John Mechie. So actually, in my opinion, pretty good wide receiver depth as well. But yeah, again, really good starting group as well. Dalton Schultz still there at tight end with Brevin Jordan at backup. They also drafted Cade Stover, and for what it's worth, that was CJ Stroud's college tight end as well. So kind of cool. Maybe he'll get a bigger role as the years go on. I don't know. Andrew Beck there at fullback, Larry Tunsil, Kenyon Green, Juice Scruggs, Shaq Mason, and Titus Howard. So to me, this is an offense that had a lot going for it last year. And I think before the Stephon Diggs trade, I think before anything this offseason, I think from the moment the Texans season ended this past season, people were already probably very high on this offense going into next season. At least in my opinion. I know I was. I think a lot of people were based on what we saw from CJ Stroud in this first season. But then when you go into that part of the year where you hit free agency and you can kind of see like the vision, I guess, in mind for this Texans team and the way that the roster was built, going and getting a veteran running back like Joe Mixon, going and trading for a veteran receiver like Stephon Diggs, that's really just going all in. It's full win now mode, and I honestly completely agree with the strategy. I think Stroud showed you more than enough last year to know that he is your franchise guy. I think Nico Collins has proven he can be the wide receiver 1 with or without Stephon Diggs on the roster. Tank Dell showed a ton of promise in his rookie year, even though he broke his leg. I think a full season for him this year, with another full off season under his belt. I think he'll be even better this season. Dalton Schultz was great last year as well. Brevin Jordan even had a great game in the playoffs. So there are a lot of weapons and a lot of points to turn to on this offense where Stroud can really operate and give the ball to pretty much anybody and feel pretty good about it. In my opinion, you can seriously give the ball to any of their probably top 5 receivers and feel like they are a pretty reliable target. John Mechie hasn't showed a whole lot yet, but other than that, like Robert Woods, veteran receiver. Noah Brown, veteran receiver. John Mechie, he could be pretty good. He came into the league with leukemia and a torn ACL. Like, that guy is still young. He still has time. So, to me, looking at this, there is no shortage of weapons. And Stroud, of course, being the big name here, I think will honestly be even better this year. For what it's worth, Joe Mixon is not a young running back by any means, but I think he still has some good football left in him. He is horrendous as a blocking running back. Like if he's on a passing play, he will not be able to block for very long. I would hope they don't assign him that too much. But just as a running back, someone to just kind of get you some all-purpose yards, Joe Mixon is very reliable for that. And then of course, bring in Stephon Diggs. And I've seen a lot. I've said before too, but I've seen a lot of with Diggs coming in, now Diggs is the 1 and Nico Collins is the 2, and Diggs is going to be like this massive wide receiver 1. And I personally don't see it that way. I think if it happens that way, it's great. I think the offense will still be plenty productive. But in my mind, I think bringing Diggs in helps Collins out even more, because Nico Collins is a great receiver. He was great before Stroud got there. He was just on the Texans when they were terrible, so no one really cared. But Nico Collins is a great wide receiver. He is capable of being a wide receiver 1. And so in my mind, when I look at this, it is very similar to how the Bengals offense really makes defenses have to play. When you have someone like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, the defense, you can't just double the same guy every play because Higgins will hurt you or Jamar Chase will hurt you. They had Boyd previously before this season, who could also be there. And I think it's going to be very, very similar to the Texans offense because you can't just double Nico Collins all the time. You can't just double Stephon Diggs. Both guys can hurt you on any play. And then you throw in Tank Dell to the mix, who can be a great deep threat. He's a great playmaker after the catch. I think, honestly, Nico Collins benefits a lot from Stephon Diggs being in there because now the defense, you have to kind of change your entire strategy. You have a quarterback that's able to read the field well, and he's going to find the open guy. It's going to be a very tough offense to stop, whether that means Diggs become this wide receiver 1 and going off for 1,200 yards, or if he just kind of gets like a cool 800, 900, I don't really think it matters. I think you have so many weapons. It's going to be so productive, and everyone's going to be so efficient that it's going to be tough to stop regardless of how the roles play out. So I guess for all my people out there that play fantasy football, you probably care about that a little bit more because obviously, the guys you're starting each week for fantasy football purposes. But I think just being a fan of the Texans or a fan of football, I think this offense might look a bit different than how people are expecting because I think Collins is still going to be the one. I think he's more dynamic. I think he's better after the catch than Stephon Diggs is at this point in his career. And it's not a knock on Diggs. It's just I personally might be just a bit higher on Nico Collins at this point. But I really feel like he's only getting better as the years go on. Stephon Diggs is, yes, getting older, but I think he still has at least 2 more very good years of football left in him. And I understand why the Texans make this huge push to go get him, to get Joe Mixon, capitalize on the offense you have right now with Stroud being so young. And, I mean, the AFC is plenty winnable. This team is more than capable of making a run at a Super Bowl. I'm very excited to see what happens, but it's an interesting position they find themselves in division-wise. And the reason I say that is Trevor Lawrence was drafted in 2021, and he is the oldest quarterback in this division. Out of Stroud, Will Levis, Lawrence, and Anthony Richardson, he has the most experience. And it's crazy to me because a lot of these teams that you would think would be kind of rebuilding and, at an earlier stage, really only the Titans are in that stage where you still have to kind of retool a bit on offense, see what you have with Levis, because even for the Colts, even if Anthony Richardson is bad, there's still a very good offense built around him, whereas the Titans, I think, have a bit more question marks. But other than that, I mean, the Colts are a very well-rounded team. The Jaguars are a very well-rounded team. Lawrence struggled last year, but he was also injured, so I kind of cut a little bit of slack for that. It's going to be a tough division. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out because you think as far as divisional games go, you'll have the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Titans. I think the Texans can definitely sweep the Titans and at least split with the other two. I wouldn't be surprised if they sweep the Jaguars, though, and then probably split with the Colts. Now, the other thing, though, is that this team is very good, and schedule-wise, out of division games, you had to play the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Cowboys, the Lions, and the Jets, and the Bills. So this is a stacked schedule. I don't think it's anything that is too challenging to this team, though. I think this is one of the fastest turnarounds we've seen probably since the 2021 Bengals, from the Texans being bottom of the league, 2-3 wins, to now all of a sudden challenging for a Super Bowl run. Quick turnarounds like this don't happen very often. I feel like it usually starts and ends with a young quarterback, exceeding expectations, whether that was Burrow and now it's Stroud here in Houston. I think it's going to be a very exciting season. I did a video going over the entire AFC South, so if you're interested in that, go check that video out. But to spoil it for you, if you don't feel like watching it, I have the Texans winning this division. I have them going like 12-5, having a very good season, and I think I do have them splitting with the Colts, but I have them winning some pretty big out-of-divisional games as well. I think they kind of get their revenge and beat Baltimore there when they play them in Houston. I think they can beat Miami there in Houston. The Chiefs will be a tough game. It'll be a tough road game, especially at that point in the year. But I think the Texans will be tested this year. We'll see just how good a team this really is, but from the way I see it, at least offensively, you've done everything correct, everything you can possibly do to go full win now mode. You have the talent. It's just about executing now. So I really think the Texans can make a run at a Super Bowl. That defense is super good too. This is a more offensive video, but that defense is super good too. That's not even really a weakness. It's just this offense I think is going to be super, super efficient. But if you guys enjoyed the video, though, be sure to subscribe down below. It is completely free and would help out my channel a whole lot. Leave a like. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, closing in on 700. So I would appreciate all the support there. Comment down below how good you guys think the Texans will be, or if you think maybe someone else in this division takes the division title this year. Thanks for watching, though. I do really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.